Right, let's get back to it. Considering the sheer length of the game, I'm sure we're going to fast forward a number of times. But since everywhere we've been going so far has been new to us, I don't really feel all that tempted to do so just yet. It's just very likely to be more of an issue when I start having to backtrack a hell of a lot in order to grab items that were for some reason unavailable to us at the time we first found them. Yeah, again, rather familiar feeling considering all the other Metroid games we've gone through so far. But it's kind of more obnoxious in this game than the 2D ones, in my opinion, by sheer virtue of the rooms and areas being larger due to there being 3 dimensions, which means it takes longer to navigate through them and get to the various items, assuming I do remember them. It's not so much of an issue when I've got a controller in my hands, but when I'm working on the commentary after the fact, yikes. Well, this room certainly doesn't have anything going for it. What, do you mean one of the laser eye things outright fossilized here? Or did someone just not finish making that thing into a bit of security for these ruins? So we've got sandstone and brimstone barriers. I have the distinct feeling that when we finally get to the relevant upgrades, I'm not going to remember which one breaks down which specific material. I'll just guess based on what kind of entranceway it looks like. Great. 3 parts into the first 3D game, and I'm already missing the blocks with blatant symbols on them to say what we needed to break them with. Well, it looks like there's only one way forward at the moment, so may as well go through that. For some reason, I was expecting the game to call that a Firefly. I actually kind of like the name Plasmite, though I may have the distinct feeling that name's not going to stick in my head for too many clips after this one. Bit of a shame. And I somehow doubt that killing these things is going to screw with our vision all that much, at least in here. Sure, they're providing a light just like the 2D games, but it doesn't look like this particular room is going to be pitch black without them. Huh. Nice that the suit will warn us if we're near a hazardous substance. Makes it harder to accidentally take an acid bath like the other games. I'm not sure if sentience is the right word for it. Maybe just basic intelligence. Though maybe my idea of sentience is too strict since it involves creatures that have enough complicated thoughts to potentially hold a conversation or at least understand directions from somebody who's making conversation. A dolphin or a dog have basic levels of sentience in my mind. Grass that retracts into the ground when threatened does not. Okay, looks like we're about to get our first upgrade, and given how unique looking this room seems, I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a distinctive encounter here. Don't tell me how to get to the item, just tell me what it is. That is the entire reason I'm trying to scan it. course the upgrade suddenly is out of our grasp again, as whatever is living in that thing comes out to play. I'm somehow more annoyed by the acid deciding to rise up than the fact that our first upgrade was pulled from us in such a teasing manner. So a different breed of war wasps then, huh? One that rushes right at us instead of shooting us from far away. Certainly an interesting decision. These things hit hard, but there's no knockback, so that's nice. Once we kill a batch of wasps, we can shoot at the device they came from, since that's actually the boss here, not the wasps actively trying to kill us. From a gameplay sense, there's nothing to really complain about here. The mechanics are all rather easy to understand, and it's a fun encounter. Unfortunately, with the transition to 3D comes with me questioning why that device is only vulnerable once we kill all the currently deployed wasps, and why it's reacting this way to Samus's presence. Granted, I probably questioned some of these kinds of things in the 2D games as well, but justifying these sort of things didn't really bother me that much in the more basic-looking format. Speaking of format differences, for some reason, the control scheme for the Wii version made this segment particularly feel harder for me than the GameCube version. Probably because there's a lot of turning needed here. Because when these little bastards start zipping off, you lose your lock-on. If anything, I just tend to pay attention to the radar on the upper left to see where one of them is going to stop moving, and then turn to that specific location, instead of constantly trying to spin around and keep up with them. Right, we're done with that encounter, and just based on the shape, it's pretty obvious what that upgrade is. Yeah, missile launcher is back. I wonder how long it's going to take for me to regain the morph ball. Well, it's certainly satisfying to blast doors open with this thing, but considering how useful the power beam is against even bosses, I don't see the missiles getting all that much use in combat. Hell, part of me appreciates getting the energy tank more than getting the missile launcher, which is supposed to be the more critical system. I wonder why it is that whenever the basic beam gets the job done, I end up getting less likely to use missiles, even if they'd actually speed things up in various fights. Hell, maybe that's one of the many reasons why I never really got into Mega Man as a kid. I tend to stick with the boring but practical until outright forced to change things up. Just something for me to keep in mind if I ever feel the desire to start LPing the Mega Man games, since I've been enjoying Metroid so much. They've both got protagonists with cannons for an arm, and gain powers as their adventure continues. Even if Metroid is more focused on exploration, and the nice combat sequences come as a bit more of an afterthought, while Mega Man is definitely more action-focused. Well, maybe afterthought wasn't quite the right word there. The fights in the 2D Metroids were pretty fun, with a few notable exceptions. And while the fights in this game have been easy, they have also been fun. It's more the fact that Metroid has always gone for a more foreboding atmosphere, while Mega Man just throws you straight into the thick of it, rushing around, blasting everything in sight. Even when you're pretty powerful compared to everything else in Metroid, though, you have a solid atmosphere that can really make you feel drawn in. I probably should have shot at those explosive mushrooms before jumping over to the missile expansion, but to be fair, it's not like we knew how much damage those mushrooms can do or how painful the acid is. Hell, it's kind of a series staple that I take some damage due to environmental hazards, even ones that by rights I should have avoided. Right, let's see what this map room has to show us. Oh yeah, I most definitely prefer the level of detail we get in the Metroid Prime map rooms than we get from the Metroid Dread ones. Granted, there's nothing that outright says that there's an upgrade in this or that room, or any percentage thing that says, how many items we've gathered in an area, but still, when we look at it, we see the terrain that we've yet to explore in a good amount of detail, while nothing really cluttering the screen. I just like that way of conveying information more than what we saw with the most recent 2D game at this point, though that's probably just extremely subjective from me. Okay, I'm going to have to assume we need both the morph ball and the bomb to be able to reach that missile expansion. Yeah, probably a good time to save for now. Part of me wants to kind of end this on one save per clip or something, but I can most certainly fit in a second bit of raw footage for this clip. Granted, I'll be cutting it close to my half-hour cutoff point, but still, I can pull it off. Yeah, that hallway is not anything to worry about at all. But again, we're pretty early on in the first Metroid that decided to take things 3D. I'm pretty sure the game designers were learning as they went forward just how to pull all this off. And considering most people I know loved this game more than the other two parts of this trilogy, they most definitely got a lot right here, even if there's plenty of room they could have improved on. Yeah, these poor beetles just don't stand a chance at all against us. Poor bastards should have just stayed burrowed. As a side note, while some of the repeating jingles in this series have grown on me, I don't think the task completed jingle ever did. If anything, it always made me wonder if I was playing through a Legend of Zelda game instead, since it somehow felt out of place to me in Metroid, and it triggers way too easily. I'm not even entirely sure why, just that's my opinion on the subject. Huh. Didn't take us long to get to another upgrade at all. Really? Another mini-boss on the way to an upgrade within the same clip. Okay, so not a mini-boss just yet, merely a larger swarm of beetles that somehow managed to show up in a way that they managed to do some initial damage. I can certainly respect that they managed to inflict damage on me, but I don't see how this is special enough for us to earn an upgrade after clearing these bugs. It doesn't matter how many of them there are, if you just keep moving around and strafing, because that is enough to absolutely ruin them. Well, that one certainly looks different from the rest. Right, so its one weakness is if we shoot it in the ass. Well, I somehow doubt if it was expecting to fight someone who was capable of strafe dashing or shooting it from a distance. Okay, so we're still getting those tutorial messages at all times, even though I thought I turned the hint system off. I get why they're there for a first-time player, especially since this game was the first of its kind in this particular genre. Still, I would have liked some way to be able to turn those off permanently, because I am indeed a returning player, even if there is no save file at the moment to show that. This thing was important enough to get a quick cutscene showing it arrived, so why doesn't it also have a health bar to go with it? It's certainly more capable of taking a hit than the bugs that came before it. And apparently, as I said that, just moments later it dies. That seems fair. Figured that was the upgrade, since it's a floating ball. And of course, the ball doesn't come with bombs right off the bat, as usual. Not a surprise considering the other games, but still, something that I find a bit annoying since, well, the bombs are such a basic, constantly needed thing for us. Especially in this game, since they will solve so many puzzles. So that kind of makes the almost triumphant music we're hearing right now feel like it came a bit prematurely, but that's kind of my opinion, and to be fair, we did get 2 friggin' upgrades in one clip. That should be reason to celebrate. And apparently, we are gonna need something extra to roll up that way. I did not need the game to outright tell me that. I could figure that out on my own. Again, I know this is many people's first introduction to the Metroid franchise. It's a damn great game. But when I turned off the hint system, I was expecting the on-screen tutorials to just stop showing up. Granted, the logbook will tell you how to do this or that specific move if you look it up in-game, and I have no issue with that whatsoever. It's the moments of the game outright saying, this is what you should be doing, that's kind of getting on my nerves. It's minor, but it's worth mentioning since it's still happened here in this very damn clip. Hell, everything else about this game I really like, even the tanky control scheme of the GameCube version. Sure, we're not quickly going from place to place like the 2D games, and I don't think we're ever going to show anywhere near the same level of agility we showed there, but we are not Sonic the Hedgehog or some other speed-focused character. So that downgrade in agility is kind of acceptable with the change in format, or at least it feels acceptable to me. I suppose much like the control scheme, it all comes down to personal preference. Okay, I probably should have moved on by now. No clue why I didn't, hence the fast forwarding here. Maybe I'm just not Maybe I'm just trying to figure out where that noise for the upgrade is coming from. It's certainly damn close to that door, that's for sure, but if we can get to it, it's not something we can get to right here and now. Well, enough of just wandering around and trying to figure out something that we don't have the means to solve just yet. Onward to new territory. It's certainly more satisfying to decide to get a move on myself instead of the game outright telling me to go, or just outright telling me I don't have the means to do such and such. Toxin everywhere, and based on the way the few plants have been reacting to the toxin, it is not something that occurred naturally despite this being a death world. So a different bit of lore tells us where this poison came from, since apparently the Chozo started dealing with it before they had to leave. I can't help feeling a little annoyed that this bit of lore is hinting at a future that the game designers didn't know if it was going to be the way the series would go forward from here or not. Of course, part of that annoyance is the fact that I rarely see prophecy done in a way I like in various stories. Either it takes away the agency of the character who is the center of the prophecy, which might not really be much of an issue with the way Samus typically does things, or it ends up reinterpreted, so despite events being different from what the prophet assumed, it still comes to pass somehow. Regardless, kind of annoying. Okay, seems that this room the plasmites are actually needed, since we do actually need their light to have a clear idea of where we're jumping. Oof, sorry about that, Samus. Apparently new ones spawn in if we wait long enough. That is quite the relief. I thought I would either have to leave the room and then come back, or just try to muster the courage to jump around in the dark while there's a lot of acid to worry about. Unfortunately, it doesn't change the fact that our light sources are capable of injuring us if we get too close. Well, that trip could have been worse. So we've got suicidal flyers as well. That's certainly quite the series staple. I'm sorry, but unless you're talking about the Zerg or a hive of beeves, you should not have a bunch of animals that are suicidally territorial. Again, I know why that's the case in this game and all the others. We need aggressive hostiles to help make the game fun. Still, this isn't exactly an alien safari. As fun as it is to scan everything we come across, there is absolutely no way I can twist my mind to consider this an actual ecosystem. Yeah, it will just swing and swing even if we're not actually in range to get hit by the damn thing. It just exists to be an obstacle to slow us down, like all the other non-plant life on this planet. Huh. So we have to activate runes in here. I kind of wish I knew what these runes unlock before I started trying to unlock whatever it is. Well, at least it hasn't rotted the bark or this branch we're standing on, or it wouldn't be able to hold our weight. It doesn't look like we missed any other runes on the way over here. Right, more things that we need the bombs to deal with. And that most definitely means whatever the runes are supposed to unlock is beyond our current reach anyway. Actually kind of interesting that the game bothers to let the destroyed hives be scannable. Again, it's just so oddly satisfying to scan everything we come across, and I have no clue why. Oddly disappointed that we weren't hurt by that tendril withdrawing. And I nearly get slapped by one of them by trying to go back up. They don't take long to respawn, that's for sure. That's interesting, but what are the things around the runic symbol? At the very least, they look distinctly different from the other bits of grass we've seen that withdraw into the ground. Right, we're just not allowed to scan those things themselves here for some reason. All I can do is confirm that they do damage similar to acid. Here's hoping that scanning those 3 runes now means we will only have to scan 1 more when we come back to open whatever door that has that special lock. It would be more than a little annoying to have to rescan those same 3 runes later on. Especially since our scanner will certainly remember we've looked at them before, even if the door itself doesn't. Right, that's all we can really do in this rather distinctive chamber, and based on how much time is left in the raw footage, we're close to a save point. Good. I could use a bit of a break. And there's our save point.